What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Damien Chillin, or as society calls me, Damien. In case if you haven't watched my last upload, I made a tier list of the COD franchise from bad to superior, at least in my own personal opinion, and that video did pretty well, which made me confident enough to make another similar video of tier list, but this time with a different game, and that game is one of my all-time favorite franchises, which is Mortal Kombat. I've been playing this video game since I can remember even playing video games, and I gotta give a quick shout out to my dad who's probably watching this video, so shout out to you, Dad, you're the best. With at least 20-ish years of experience to the franchise, I feel comfortable enough to rank these games since I still kind of do play them to this day. That's enough background from me. Let's go ahead and just get this video started. So we're gonna go to the same thing here that we did the last time, which was the tier maker. .com website. You're obviously going to search up whatever you want to do. So in my case, Mortal Kombat, and here we are. So let me actually redo these real quick. So it's going to start off from Flawless Victory, which is the top tier, best of the best. A, which is going to be for awesome, and then we're going to do B for, I guess, good, and then C is going to be bad, and then D is going to be never played, which there are some that I haven't played, but this is what it's going to be. And we're going to start from Mortal Kombat 1. So with that being said, let's start with the very beginning. Unfortunately, this isn't the first game that I was introduced to the franchise. We'll get to that soon, but I did play this one, of course. When I first played it, this was actually from one of those plug and play controllers where you literally plugged in like the yellow, red, and white cable into the TV, and that was my first time playing it. After that, the next couple of years, my dad would take me to the arcade and stuff, and then I would play it from there. But this was the introduction to the amazing franchise that we all know and love, and this game is also responsible for the ESRB ratings, which, if you don't know what that is, that's like the games, that's like the ratings that the games have, like rated E, rated T, rated M. Back then, I guess they didn't have it, and this game is what made them start making it. Due to like its graphic nature, which of course we all know that what Mortal Kombat is known for, and that's its iconic fatalities with the simple words of "finish him/her." This game, the antagonist was Shang Tsung, a sorcerer who collects your soul when you lose in the Mortal Kombat tournament. That's pretty awesome. This dude was not a force to reckon with, from what I remember telling myself as a kid, and that is what kind of motivated me to go and defeat him. But unfortunately, I never got to that. I mean, this game was pretty difficult. The notable stages on here for me is like Goro's Lair, the courtyard, and of course the iconic pit that's like in every single game. The character list in this game was Johnny Cage, Raiden, Sonya, Kano, Liu Kang, and the iconic duo Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Like I mentioned in the beginning, this wasn't my starting point in the franchise, and after where I started, this game was a huge downgrade, but of course I can respect the hell out of it. This game will go in the okay section, or the good section. I think everyone can agree with me that this game hasn't aged well, and not many people will enjoy it compared to today's standards of like fighting games, or today's standards of Mortal Kombat in general, I guess. So the next game after Mortal Kombat 1 is obviously Mortal Kombat 2 that you can see here. So with Mortal Kombat 2, it was an overhaul compared to Mortal Kombat 1. They kept like the same formula, but added new characters, of course, new stages, and even more gruesome fatalities compared to the first game. This game was difficult as hell. I do remember that. To this day, I still can't even get to Kintaro, who's literally just a sub-boss before getting to Shao Kahn, which also is a new antagonist. At this point, they started fleshing out the storyline a little bit more and making the Mortal Kombat franchise more of like a story. Shao Kahn came into the game to finish what Shang Tsung couldn't do in the first game, which was win the Mortal Kombat tournament to rule Earthrealm. So Shao Kahn just kind of came in and went against the rules and started invading immediately. The memorable stages for me were the Living Forest, the Pit 2, the Deadpool, and the Portal. The new characters in this game were Melina, Reptile, Jax, Kitana, Shang Tsung, who's not a new character, but in this game he was playable for the first time, and Kung Lao. The same characters from the first game returned as well with new special moves and introduced new finishing moves like friendships and babalities. which I always thought were fun as hell, but hard to pull off. This was back in the day when you had like nowhere to look online. You know, the internet didn't really exist to the public back then, so you couldn't go on there and like see how to do them and shit like that. All in all, this game was a lot more darker than the original game, but still fun as hell. And this game for sure will go in the awesome tab. So now, whoa. So now we're going to go to the next game, which is Mortal Kombat 3. To not throw people off, I'll be counting this game as Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 just because that version is more popular than Mortal Kombat 3 itself. So anyways, this is one of my favorites in the franchise just due to expanding on what they did with the last two and perfecting it even more. This game had actual combos you can do this time rather than just like the typical high punch, high kick, low kick, and throw. The combos were kind of hard to perfect, but when you did it, it was so rewarding and definitely powerful. With every game, the fatalities just got more and more violent and gory, which is what everyone's expecting with the new Mortal Kombat game. A ton of new characters were in this game for sure, such as Smoke, Cyrax, Sector, Striker, Cabal, Sindel, Nightwolf, Shiva, Jade, Ermac, and Noob Saibot. Fuck, rereading that's insane, but I guess that's why they came out with Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, or at least this version of the game, to be able to have all that. The stages on here were all great. You had the subway, bell tower, soul chamber, and graveyard, and many more. This game also introduced the brutalities, which were kind of a weak addition. All they really were was just doing like an infinite combo till your opponent blows up. But they also introduced animalities, which when I was younger, I thought this was so fucking badass. This game's story is kind of starting to come to a conclusion though. They started focusing more on like each character's background stories, like the iconic rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I can tell you my like fondest memory, I guess, is pretty recent when I got the arcade 1-up version of this game when it came with like Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, and it was my first time ever actually defeating Shao Kahn. Shout out to my cousin Jason for helping me along the way. This game was perfect to me. It's going in the flawless victory tab. There we go. That's funny. Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3. So now the next game, well, correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments, but I think the next game, we're just gonna go with this, just to get out of the way. We're gonna go with Special Forces. I've never played this game. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on this game just to see what I'm missing out on, and it doesn't seem like I'm missing out on very much. It's it's a very hated game. Same thing with Sub-Zero, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. I did play it. I will give it that. I did play like maybe the first 10 minutes on the Nintendo 64, not the PlayStation edition, but I did play like the 10 minutes of it, and I just wasn't interesting to me. I thought it was gonna be like I thought it was gonna be like a campaign type of game, but I don't know. They did it very weird, and it just didn't catch my interest at all. So I don't know. If you guys are a fan of it, let me know in the comments. But now for sure the next game is Mortal Kombat 4. Now we're entering the 3D era. This game started with like a newish story to the franchise, but still kept everything canon. And what I mean by that is like MK1, MK2, MK3 is still a part of the story and led up to this point. At this point though, Mortal Kombat, sorry, I'm back. I had to open the door for my girlfriend, but like I was saying, Mortal Kombat started having a lot of lore in the background, which now that I think about it, I was more interested in that than this game's story. This game had a lot of new characters as well, replacing some fan favorite characters, but still kept the core group like Liu Kang, Raiden, Sub-Zero, and Scorpion. This game to me was a letdown as far as like fighting style. There were still combos and all, but you could only get up to 40% damage. After that, you couldn't go anymore. They literally like threw you back and then you just had to restart your combos. The stages weren't very memorable in my opinion. The new characters were weak. They introduced Fujin, Kai, Jarek, Shinnok, Quan Chi, and Tanya, which the only standout characters were Fujin, Shinnok, and Quan Chi. I wanted to like this game, but I just couldn't get into it. It was dumbed down compared to Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, so yeah, this game is bad. I'm sure there's a small community out there who enjoy this game and might have a different opinion. Oh, I already put it there. But I'm not one of them, so yeah, here we go. It's going in bad. So the next game that is after Mortal Kombat 4. Sorry, I was getting lost. The next thing we're going to talk about is Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Now, we're on the game where I was first introduced to the franchise. I came across this game from an old childhood friend who had it on the PS2, and I had never heard of Mortal Kombat at all, so I didn't know what to expect. When me and him played it, I was actually kind of amazed at how bloody and gory it is, and I immediately fell in love with it. After I left my friend's house, I don't know how I convinced my dad to get me this game, but he did. To be fair, at this time I had already played like all the Resident Evil games up to that point, and like Devil May Cry, so I don't know, that's probably why he let me get it. When I started playing this game, it was for sure a game changer. Fully 3D. There was a move list in the pause menu that you can look up to see how to actually do the combos and stuff like that. They introduced weapons, the introduction to the iconic Crypt, and then conquest mode. There was a lot to do in this game. I loved it. In this game, Liu Kang is dead. He gets killed by Shang Tsung and Quan Chi, who are now a team. This game is based off of the villains, which I don't think there's very many games where a game is set for the villains, or the villains win, basically. So for me, that was kind of a holy shit moment. But the next topic is like conquest mode, which is the training mode, but also kind of a story mode. So in the training mode, you would like progress into different areas, and in between that, you get like a text kind of explaining, I guess, what's going on in the background. But I don't know, it was kind of boring. I honestly don't remember much of it, but that's all that really stands out, is that I didn't really enjoy it too much. The main thing on here was the Crypt, where all the hidden stuff was in. As we all know how the Crypt is today, this is where it all started. In the arcade matches, you earn coins that can be used in the Crypt to unlock concept art, costumes, and behind the scenes pictures of the cast and like the making of the game, and also short videos. Side note, this is the game that introduced that iconic cooking with Scorpion video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up on YouTube. One last thing I do want to mention is once you complete the arcade mode with whichever character, at the end you do get introduced to like a cut scene that explains what happens to the character after. Some are kind of sad, and some are rewarding for those characters. It's just an awesome thing that they added and kept ever since. This game was okay though. It didn't have any stage fatalities, no memorable stages, only one fatality per character, where we were used to like 2 fatalities per character. But a really bad fatality is Quan Chi's. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, because that fatality has become a meme, and that single-handedly holds that game back. So I'm going to put this in the bad section. So the next game is Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. So regardless of how I felt about Mortal Kombat Deception, the next game is Mortal Kombat Deception, but regardless of how I felt about Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, I still love the franchise. They literally could never do any wrong, at least not yet. I was very intrigued with the lore and background stories at this point. I was really hyped up for this game because back in like 2004, not sure what year, my dad was subscribed to the Game Informer magazines and would always give them to me. So one day there was an article about Mortal Kombat Deception, and after seeing screenshots and everything on there, I don't know, I was just really hyped for it. So the game comes out and I immediately go on conquest mode, because I remember seeing it was basically an open world RPG type of game mode, and it did not disappoint at all. I had at least 100 hours in that mode alone. After conquest, there's the typical arcade ladder matches, which was fun considering that there are memorable and remakes of older arenas and stuff like that we haven't seen in quite a while. There was also chess combat and puzzle combat, which was literally what you think it is. Such fun ass game modes that I had spent a lot of time on. The Crypt got a little more expanded, but the same thing essentially. This time you get keys in the conquest mode that unlock certain stuff in the Crypt. Story-wise, there is a new antagonist named the Dragon King Onaga. This dude is literally like a dragon-looking typical big guy. Still very dangerous in the Mortal Kombat history. If you haven't played this game, I highly suggest you do. It's on the PS2, Xbox, even the PSP. This is literally my childhood. This game is going on the flawless victory category. I don't know, okay. So now we're on to the next game, which is I think Shaolin Monks. I forgot that game was on here. So Shaolin Monks, we'll kind of go through that real quick. Shaolin Monks was like Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, where it was an action-adventure type of game, but this time it focused on Liu Kang and Kung Lao. And from what I remember with this game, it was actually really, really good. I had a lot of time with it. I had numerous hours in this game. I completed it. I do remember that. I unlocked like the hidden characters, and it was just a really cool game. It took place in between like Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, and then at the end it obviously, I think it led up to like Mortal Kombat 4, but it was an awesome game. I can't speak too much of it just because I haven't played it in years, but I had a really good time with it. It was such an awesome game. So this is going in flawless victory. I think a lot of people can agree with me on that one. I do know that the next game for sure is this one here, Mortal Kombat Armageddon. With this game, I was actually really hyped up for it. I mean, who wouldn't? They brought literally every single character that's been in Mortal Kombat into one game. I think in total this game had like 64 characters. You'd think that's badass and all, but of course it's all too good to be true. Yeah, they had all the characters, but they all had like the same type of move sets. You can definitely tell it was just dumbed down. It was just such a huge letdown. Yeah, they had like their own special moves, but that's not enough to flesh out a character. Luckily, a lot of them did get a redesign. A perfect example is Stryker, who at the time was like a fat cop, but this time they made him not look like a fat cop. I mean, there's a huge difference. You can definitely see it. The main antagonist of this game was a character named Blaze, who I actually forgot to mention was like a hidden character in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. He got a huge redesign, quite literally. Unfortunately, the endings this time sucked. No more cutscenes. All it was characters training like on the final stage while the script is being like narrated what happens after they defeated Blaze, which was very sucky. But I mean, I understand considering it would take a lot of time to do those cutscenes for like 64 individual characters. One thing I don't like about this game is that there's no fatalities at all. Yeah, the one thing that they're known for, they got rid of for create your own fatality, and that had a certain amount of time to do with like literally simple button inputs. There were no more of the days of inputting select buttons and stuff like that to do with a unique fatality for that character. In script, I guess it does sound cool, but it just wasn't. It didn't work out. It was so generic, and literally every character did the exact same thing. The next thing I want to talk about is the conquest mode, which this time was basically the story mode. It was kind of forgettable. I mean, I don't know. I did enjoy it from what I remembered. They also had Motor Kombat, which was Mario Kart, but obviously Mortal Kombat. It was fun, I'll give it that. There isn't really much more to say about this game other than it was a huge letdown. Sure, maybe going back to it, it's fun for like an hour, but this game is bad and it sucks. It should have been a good game. It's going into the bad section. Cool, so the next game is... I forgot to put this game is next, but okay, so the next game is Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. I never played this game. I think at this point Mortal Kombat Armageddon had left a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't know, I just went back to Mortal Kombat Deception trying to 100% this game. So I completely forgot this game even came out, but again, I've never played it. I mean, I've seen it on YouTube, and YouTube showed me that there wasn't very much I was missing out on. This is the first game ever that was rated T, so that should say a lot. So for sure the next game is, well, after Mortal Kombat Armageddon, technically is Mortal Kombat 9, which in the game case it shows as Mortal Kombat, but this game was a huge game changer for sure, no doubt about it. For starters, we went back to the 2D fighting tradition. At this time it was like 2011. 3D fighting games just were basically dead. They died a long time ago at that time. The only ones that really perfected the 3D fighting was like Tekken, Dead or Alive, and Soul Calibur. So it was a return to form, and it was kind of also a soft reboot in the story and the lore. The game covered Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 for sure, with all the characters from those games, and it made it fleshed out they made out a fleshed out, simple story to follow. It was a great game. The gameplay was good, and the combos were back. They had air juggling, which was kind of hard to master, but when you did, you felt like a badass. It was definitely rewarding as far as like the damage and stuff like that. Most stages from like older titles were back and looked amazing, all remastered and whatnot. All I can say is this game is just really, really good. On top of everything, this game was on like the current generation at the time, which was the PS3 and the 360. Fatalities were back finally, and gruesome as hell in my opinion. My personal favorites were like Kung Lao's, Ermacs, Noob Saibots. If you don't know what they look like, look it up on YouTube and you'll know what I'm talking about. You won't be disappointed. They had a story mode on here that was very, very linear, and I think they perfected it. The cutscenes were back when you complete an arcade ladder match. They also introduced the X-ray special move, which at the time was very unique, and I don't think it's ever been done in like other fighting games, let alone Mortal Kombat. This is exactly what you think it is. It basically shows what a character goes through when you're fighting them. There was also DLC for the game. For the PS3, they had Kratos from God of War join the roster. It was a good addition to have a crossover like that. I don't remember very much of other games doing that, but yeah, they had the guest characters, and then with the DLC characters, they had Kenshi, Scarlet, Rain, and Freddy Krueger. And yeah, I know Freddy Krueger is such an icon, and the fact that he's in the game is mind-blowing. In Mortal Kombat 9, they also added challenge towers that you can go through that were actually quite a challenge. I think I only got to like stage 30 or something. There were like 300 in total, so props to you or those who completed it. The future titles, unfortunately, in my opinion, beat this game, but still, like I said, it's a really awesome game. And if you're new to the franchise, you gotta start off here, just so everything can be so simplified for you. But yeah, this is going here on the awesome tab. Alright, so the next game is Mortal Kombat X. So going straight into it, this game is amazing. You can look at my PlayStation profile and see that this is one of my favorite games just by seeing the time that I played. Same as the last game, traditional story mode that continues from Mortal Kombat 9, this time except it's 25 years later, and it focuses more on like the next generation of fighters. So for example, Johnny Cage and Sonya have a daughter named Cassie Cage, who's the main character in this story. Kenshi has a son named Takeda, who was trained by Scorpion. That alone already makes him fucking awesome. He's his own character with traits of Scorpion, which is like the spear and the ninjutsu fighting style. I wish I was good with him because I've seen people main him, and he has an awesome move list. There is online, which I think perfected compared to MK9, and believe it or not, this is actually what started me to do streaming on Twitch. I personally felt like I was pretty good at the game. You can look at my win-loss ratio, and I thought it was pretty impressive. My main character was Ermac. I got a good amount of views on Twitch, but that's besides the point. This game took Mortal Kombat to another level with the DLC that it had. It had brought back older characters. It went for a hardcore horror crossover with the characters like Jason Voorhees, Predator, Alien, Leatherface. That alone brought a lot of people into this game and a lot of attention to Mortal Kombat. It was a good time. This game had a running mechanic that just worked out perfect when it came to doing like combos and shit like that. I know I might be repeating myself, but yeah, this game is perfect in my eyes. It's going in the flawless victory tab. So now we're at the last game and the current game as of 2021, which is Mortal Kombat 11. This game it's good. I like it. The story mode was fantastic. The gameplay just wasn't there for me though. That's the only thing. The Crypt, they kind of went overboard on it, but I mean, I can see people having fun with it. I just like the simplicity of it, but the game, what I mean that the gameplay wasn't for me is that they didn't continue from MKX, which if you know, MKX was very fast paced. This one kind of went back to MK9, but a little bit slower, and there was no air juggling or anything like that. You couldn't even run in the game. It was just very bare bones minimum. I don't know how much further to go on that, but I don't know, like if you've played the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about compared to the other games. They did come out with the DLC called Aftermath, which I thought was a great addition to the game. That it's never been done in Mortal Kombat where they expand the story. So I mean, it was a good conclusion to the Mortal Kombat story that they built up until now. I am looking forward to the next one, which I'm assuming would probably be like another soft reboot or something like that. This one did deal with the multiverse, so I don't know, maybe they'll continue from there, like on a different timeline or some shit like that. But this game is gonna go under good. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy my time too much on it, other than the story mode. But yeah, here is the list here of my personal opinion on these games. Let me know if y'all agree. Let me know what you guys would do differently. Let me know if you guys have ever played Mortal Kombat, or have at least, I don't know, not played certain ones that I'm mentioning, because I do know a good amount of people that haven't played like the PS2 ones, or obviously the older ones as well. But you're not really missing out too much on these. But the PS2 ones for sure, I wouldn't say you're missing out, but were very fun, and I think still hold up kind of to this day. That's the end of the video though. Thank you guys so much for at least watching. This may not be your cup of tea, but a simple like and share would be very much appreciated. And who knows, maybe the person you share it with has a huge interest in this kind of stuff. But I mean, that's besides the point. The point is, I appreciate everyone's feedback. It helps me a ton on what I should do, since I'm still new to this, and you know, I do want to continue on doing this kind of stuff. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys would like to see next. You can follow my Twitter at DamienChillin. You can follow my Instagram at DamienGamingAF, and you can follow me on Twitch, DamienChillin. I'll leave the links in the description. But for now, that's pretty much it. Peace out, guys. I'll see ya.